So, good evening, all. The poem that we are going to discuss today is Andrea del Sardo by Robert Browning. As we all know, Robert Browning is a famous Victorian poet, and every time in NET examination, you may or you will get a question from Robert Browning's poetry. Say, for example, in one of the NET exams, the question is this: Andrea is a. What is the answer?
Painter.
Yeah, painter. Okay. So the poem may vary, but you will definitely get one question from Robert Browning. Okay. See, he's famous for his dramatic monologues, and here again, Andrea del Sardo is a dramatic monologue. And this poem is about, say, the conflict between art for art's sake, or art for, say, um, aestheticism, all right, uh, with passion, all right, creating an art with passion, and this is contrasted versus art for money's sake. Here, unfortunately, Andrea, a famous painter, is trapped, is caught up in creating art for money's sake. And he talks about his wife Lucretia. All right. Initially, he praises Lucretia's beauty, and he states that he loves her voice. And he wants, say, Lucretia to sit near a window so that she will serve as a model for Andrea's painting. Andrea wants to portray or paint a picture, and for that picture, for that painting, he wants Lucretia to be a model, for which he requests her to sit near a window. And he compares her to a moon. According to Andrea, she is a lady of dazzling beauty. And the pathetic situation of Andrea is this: he cannot paint for the sake of art. Rather, he has to paint to satisfy or to, say, fulfill the needs of Lucretia. Lucretia to him is a nagging wife, and he needs to pay the debts of Lucretia's love. Even for that, he needs to paint, and he needs to raise money, and therefore his paintings lack passion. And towards the end of the poem, you find a cousin whistling from outside. All right, she wants to go, and Andrea tries his best to make sure that Lucretia stays back. Okay, he blames Lucretia. He compares himself with other great legendary painters like Michelangelo and Raphael. They did not paint for money's sake, and he blames Lucretia for her nagging nature, and he states his history. There is a flashback. Several years ago, Andrea was a court painter. He was the favorite painter of King Francis, and King Francis was the king of France. And King Francis admired Andrea's painting, and he gave money for decorating the court, as well as he gave money for buying artworks from Italy. What Andrea did was this: He betrayed the king. He took all the money and built a big house for himself and Lucretia. Therefore, this house was built in Italy, and therefore he cannot return to France. I repeat, he was given money by King Francis because Andrea was a favorite painter of King Francis. King Francis used to admire Andrea's paintings. He was given money for future paintings and for buying artwork from Italy. And with that money, Andrea built a big house for himself and Lucretia. This was a betrayal done by Andrea to King Francis. Therefore, he cannot return to France. This house was built in Italy. Andrea decided to stay in Italy, and he says he did all these things for the sake of Lucretia. And he even says he did not take care of his parents during their old age. They died a miserable death under the clutches of poverty, and he recalls all these things. It's a sort of a flashback where Andrea has betrayed King Francis and his parents. That is Andrea's parents. Now, Andrea cannot return to France, and he cannot be seen by uh, government officials. Therefore, he needs to stay inside that big house itself. Okay. After the flashback, he again talks about his genius as a painter. He is called the faultless painter. And to reinstate this point, he quotes or he remembers Angelo's comments to Raphael. Once Michelangelo, has a great painter, has said some great words about Andrea's painting to another great painter, that is Raphael. I repeat, to prove here, it is a dramatic monologue, as you know. Here, only one person is speaking, and that person is Andrea. And what Andrea does is to prove his uh, genius as a painter, he quotes the comment made by Michelangelo to Raphael. And this comment was rather praising, say, Andrea. So Michelangelo praises and talks to Raphael about Andrea. Okay, and Andrea, he goes for some sort of a self scrutiny. He analyzes himself and he says he is a faultless painter. Already, he has that nickname. He is greatly skillful. He is highly skillful, extremely skillful. But unfortunately, he admits that he lacks inspiration. And he looks up to Lucretia for that inspiration. All right. Again and again, he comes to Lucretia and he blames her. And he even compares the paintings, his paintings, with that of Raphael. The paintings of Raphael, probably he refers to a painting of Mother Mary, portrait of Mother Mary, painted by Raphael, if I'm right. And in that painting, there are one or two defects. On the other hand, on the contrary, you have a faultless painter, Andrea, whose paintings are spotless, whose paintings are immaculate. So such is the talent of Andrea, but unfortunately, he has not earned the name and fame that Raphael and Michelangelo were able to earn. And this is the overall scenario portrayed in this poem. And finally, Lucretia hears a whistle from outside. It is her cousin, it is her lover, and Lucretia decides to leave. To sum up, Andrea betrayed King Francis, bought a house. He did not take care of his parents in his old age. And he did all these things, according to him, he did all these things to please Lucrezia. And he had to paint for money and not for passion. And he again blamed Lucretia for this. And he praises Lucretia's beauty. He praises her ears. He compares her to moon, and he wants her to be an inspiration. He wants her to be a model for his painting. So he requests her to sit beside a window so that by looking at her, he can paint a glorious portrait. And he compares himself with Michelangelo and Raphael. They may not have the efficiency as Andrea, but their paintings are filled with, say, liveliness, whereas this man's portraits lack inspiration. And towards the end, you find Lucretia getting a signal from her lover or cousin who whistles from outside. Despite Andrea's request and plea, Lucretia decides to leave. So, this is the overall summary of Andrea del Sardo by Robert Browning.